Okay, cool. So we're all here for the Canvas Gradebook, and basically have five things to go over. Um, just the concept that everything that accrues points that you can assign a grade to is going to end up in the gradebook. Um, the idea that all of that is controlled by the assignments page. That's one of the tricks that doesn't make a lot of sense. And then we'll go over the gradebook itself, and some of the little hidden features. There's a couple things in there that are well hidden. Rubrics, I feel compelled to show you just because I think they're so powerful. And then obviously all this is fed by the speed grader most usually. So I'll show you a few tricks about that. Okay, and just in case anybody's not clear, about the different kinds of assignments. So first of all, we have features in Canvas and they have names like assignment and quiz. That doesn't mean that you have to call them that. So for example, the quiz tool in Canvas can just as well serve as a midterm or final exam. It's really just the mechanism that, say, a quiz has a lot of subsidiary questions that all combine into one grade. Um, Same thing about the assignment. It's the tool that allows a single work to be exchanged from the student to you, the teacher. It's private between the two of you, and you can give feedback in a grade. You can make that a final exam. There's nothing stopping you from telling your students it's an exam. It's just how they label the tool. So assignments are individual, quizzes are individual, just between you and each individual student. And then discussions are the ones that are public to the course. And discussions are graded optionally. And for that matter, quizzes are graded optionally. An ungraded quiz is a survey, and that can be useful at times too. And that's about it for graded work, except for the plethora of plugins, the Pearsons and MyLab, and if you use one of those, then you know that it's also feeding assignments back into the gradebook. But those are all kind of special cases. So all of those show up on the assignments page. Unlike most of those course navigation links, like when you go to pages, it's all pages. When you go to quizzes, it's all quizzes. When you go to assignments, it's not all assignments. It's anything that's worth points that's getting fed into the gradebook. So that's why I say the assignments page is weird. The interface of the assignments page looks like the modules page, but it doesn't act like it. It's just close enough to confuse you. So this is one of the annoying things about Canvas. And let me switch over to a class. This is a modules page. I hope we know how to use it. You can create modules, these blocks, and you can add things and remove them. On the modules page, it just controls, the presentation of how students see it, publish and unpublish. On the assignments page, everything is similar, but just a little bit different. So the groups now are controlling the gradebook categories. That's useful to stay organized, and useful if you want to do the weighted categories, like weighted grading. Otherwise, it's completely unnecessary to even use these groups. You can put everything into one group. Nobody cares. So but you can see it's the same interface as the modules page. Quizzes, discussions, external tools, and assignments all show up here. So the publishing, rather than controlling how visible it is to the student, it controls whether it's even available and active, so to speak. So if it's unpublished, it's not even it's going to be in the gradebook, but it's not going to be usable. So you'll see it labeled as unpublished in the gradebook, and the students won't be able to turn anything in. So for one like this, it's telling me I can't unpublish it because I already received student submissions. And then what else about the assignments? Groups are optional. And then there is on this assignments page the three-dot menu, right? Very well hidden up here. It doesn't look like much, but this is how you get to do all the weights of the categories. So, and this is good if you hate the math and you don't want to make all your points add up to exactly the right proportions. You can kind of be loosey-goosey with your point values of your assignments and then just do your final grade as a proportion of each assignment category. That can make the math a lot easier to deal with. So that's where you control that and you turn on and off the whole mechanism here as well. But I want to show you this first item here, edit assignment dates. This is a really cool page. It's too bad it's so well hidden, but this will let you set all due dates and available dates for all the assignments in the same place all at once. This is instead of having to go into the edit page for each assignment and sit there with a calendar and do it all one by one. So we have here, this class is kind of messy, but you could go in at the beginning of the semester with your calendar and set it all up and get it all straightened out all at once. That's really nice. And I do recommend taking the time to do that because your syllabus, after your pasted in syllabus, it by default it shows all the due dates of every active assignment. So it's really nice to have that laid out when the students first get there. It's good for their edification, but it's also a major point of confusion if you have old due dates left in there from last semester and stuff like that. So that's this syllabus tool. By default, it shows all assignment due dates. And then, Craig, I'm pretty sure, but I'm not certain, that the layout you have on this assignments page controls the order of the gradebook. So just like the modules page, you can move stuff around with these little dots here. And then again, I'll say it again, the visibility of things is weird, because really if you want to show a student an assignment, you would put it on the module in the week that they're going to get to it, right? And you publish it there. So unpublishing it doesn't really, I mean, unpublishing it on the assignments page doesn't exactly hide it. It just makes it so they can't turn anything in. So that's a thing that you want to double check the way that you have it on each of these pages. In general, I hide the assignments page from students and make them get to things via the modules page. Is that making sense? Okay. Um, so the gradebook page, the big spreadsheet view, it is really nice to have it organized and any unused assignments just deleted, really, so that it doesn't overwhelm you. And let me show you a couple of things that might be surprising. One is just what these different icons mean. Like this one here is the student has turned in the work and you haven't graded it yet. There's another one that looks like a little rocket ship, and that means the student has completed a quiz, but there's a question on it that needs manual grading. The dash just means they haven't turned it in and no grade has been assigned. And then the color codes, I believe, are corresponding to um, I think late or resubmitted. You generally see the blue and the red tag. Yeah. Yeah. So you can see unpublished ones still have their column here. That's annoying to me. If you're not going to use it, I would go ahead and delete it if you know, if you have it saved somewhere else so that if you do want to use it again in the future. For the gradebook as a whole, there's some options. Those, again, small pop-up menu, same location with the little gear icon, has a bunch of optional settings. One is a late policy. If you want to start deducting points day by day for any late work, you can do that here. It's pretty flexible. If you want to just do a flat percentage or start doing a deduct a percentage every day, that kind of thing. A lot of teachers, no, I've had requests for this, which is teachers don't want to reveal grades until they're done grading everybody's. Um, so that's called a grade posting policy. And here you can control it for every assignment. And I'll show you in a minute where you can just apply it to a single assignment. So the grade posting policy, by default, it's automatic. When you grade it, they receive the notification. And if you change it to manually, then um, you have to tell the system when to send out the grades. Allow final grade override, and then um, just how people get sorted out. Oh, and you can hide unpublished assignments, I guess. Um, so there's a similar, very hard to find menu for every graded item. So every column has this little three dot menu that shows up when you roll over it. That's another tricky one, and there's some cool stuff hidden under here. But before I say that, let me point out how many assignments are not yet graded. And let me remind you that when a student goes and looks at their grades, it calculates their grade so far based on what you have graded. So if they're missing work that you have not put in as a zero, the grade that they see is going to be misleading. It's going to be higher than it actually is. So this is me encouraging you, as cruel as it sounds, to put in a zero grade for missing work at some point in your process. I don't know if it's right on the deadline or a few days after or, every couple of weeks. It sounds harsh, but I think it's better overall. It's a little reminder to the student. They might not even know, and it's going to then compute their grade more accurately when they go and they do look at it. And that brings me to one of the things on this hidden menu here, which is set default grade. So this will let me set for anybody who doesn't already have a grade put in, it'll let me set those to zero. As long as I don't check that. So if I have 30 people and only half of them have turned things in, I can set everybody else to zero. and that'll, send out their notification that they've been graded on something, and that might trigger them to be like, oh, whoops, I guess I should deal with that. So that's for any column, this hidden three dot menu, um, set default grade. The one below that, post grades. Remember when I said if you don't show them the grades, if you change the posting policy, this is how you tell it to reveal the grades to them. Um, if you have automatic, if you have the default posting policy, but you want to change it for one assignment, you would do that here, grade posting policy. But then the one I think is very useful is this message students who dot dot dot. Message students for students who have not yet submitted or scored less than. For this variety of circumstances, you can send a message, another little prompt or reminder or encouragement or chastising, if you want to. I think that's a good little bit of feedback if you want to use that. And then just so you know, you can change a grade right in here without even seeing the assignment. And this little box with an arrow, that's going to take you to the speed grader with that student opened up. If you, oh, let's do one that's actually a real assignment. No, I lied. It's going to give you a link to the speed grader. I think that changed. And then that's almost it for the gradebook itself. The export to an Excel sheet or to a CSV. I find this really useful. I think it's the best way to get a roster of students. It does have a ton of columns, um, but once it's in Excel, I can kind of clean it up, and that gives me a good list. There is a mechanism to import, so you could technically do your grading in Excel and import it back in. That seems like asking for trouble to me. I don't think anybody really uses that, and I would encourage you not to. So, um, I would export to get a roster, and I would mainly at the end of the semester, I think just to kind of have good records, I would export the gradebook when all is said and done, and I just want to save everybody's scores in one easy to get at thing just in case somebody asks me. The iLearn shell is available indefinitely. We have them going back to whenever we started with Canvas, the mid 2010s, I believe. There's no deleting policy, but I like to have my own copies regardless. And that should be it for the gradebook itself. There's this menu here, which I don't think there's much useful here. The learning mastery just has to do with outcomes, which we don't really use in Canvas. The individual is kind of the view that a single student would see. And then I don't think gradebook history does much at all. So, any questions while I'm here about this view of it? Oh, Craig, I believe you can also drag. I mean, you can drag, yeah, side to side here. And I'm not sure, but I don't think this is saving any changes. I think it's just a visual thing for the time that you're here on the gradebook, but you might want to play with that and see if those changes persist. That might be what you're looking for.
I'll try both of the things you suggested because it's driving me up the wall. It's not a
Yeah.
big thing, it's just an annoying thing.
Hmm. And then something that's helpful, you'll see we lost our course navigation menu just for the gradebook. And that is for any page in your course, that is controlled by this. It's called a hamburger menu right here. So if you ever want a little bit more room, you can collapse your course navigation with that guy here.
Mr. Howe, a quick question.
Yeah.
So when I pull up my spreadsheet, I'm seeing 2 test students in one of my class, and I think that's when I'm practicing my exams. All of a sudden, now it's
Mhm.
in my spreadsheet. How the heck do I get rid of my test students? Because they're not in
Oh,
my
that's weird.
people's page. Yeah.
Remind me at the end and I'll pull it up while you're here and we'll fiddle with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
That is weird. But yeah, the test student correlates to your student view button and it's kind of a fake account. That's that's an odd thing to happen.
Yeah. Hi. Hi, Peter. If
Hey,
I want to delete an assignment, all right, I have to go to the assignments page. Is that correct? And delete it there,
exactly.
for
Yeah,
it's not to appear on the gradebook. Just want to double
correct.
check on that.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, all of the kind of
So I have
logistics
it.
are controlled here. What was that last bit, Donna?
Oh, no, except that, I might open a class and it could have if I imported many assignments, those assignments are populated on the grade book. And if I
Yeah,
want to get rid of a particular assignment, I go back to assignments, clear it there, and
yeah.
then it should be cleared in the grade book. Is that
It,
correct?
that's it exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Mhm.
And you just reminded me that you'll get some funny stuff when you import. And again, I'm not sure what determines it, but you'll often end up with a group down here called imported assignments. So
Mhm.
the lesson is really just to check the organization before you open it up to students. Because usually you'll have a way that you want to group things up, and something called imported assignments is not a part of that. So you'll want to clean it up, delete the whole group if you want to, with or without assignments in it, whatever you need to do.
And just a quick follow-up to that question, because I have a similar situation where it appears I have created a duplicate discussion assignment. So I've got the
Okay.
same titles, the same, I've looked into them, they're worth the same amount of points. And my students have actually split. They've done one and
Yeah.
done the other. Can I delete one, or now I've got to live with both of them?
Now you have a mess to clean up. You
Awesome.
if you delete one, you delete those conversations. So
Just keep them.
yeah, yeah, it depends on how many people have posted, but often, if you just tell them what happened, they're very understanding.
God, I don't know how I duplicated, but there are definitely 2 in here. One's in
Yeah.
assignments, one is in important assignments, but both have been responded.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez.
Mr.
Yeah,
The
that's
question.
mhm.
Uh, I'm teaching actually live class, but I found Canvas so very helpful. So
Yeah.
on my first day of class, I handed out print out test questions, right? But right now I'm thinking of all my tests midterms and finals, I rather find it very convenient to put it in a Canvas. So technically, the assignment page is the control page for the grade books, right?
It is.
Unless it's published, or if it don't publish, they won't seen by the student, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Good. Okay, good. So it doesn't harm me in case, say, hey, if I ask my student and as majority wants to just take it, the test via Canvas, I can say, hey, you can take the test until, say, Saturday. So I can cut the time, right? Or they can start whatever day and time they want to start the quizzes, but there must be a deadline on it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of options. So there's the window of days that they're allowed to take it.
Okay.
Let's give me a second here. So there's the available from and available until
Okay.
is kind of the window of time that they can take it. And then separately, there is a time limit. Once they do begin, optionally, you can set a time limit. You can let them try multiple times or just once.
One time.
There's a
Okay.
lot of options.
And then
then
also when it comes to assignment or work assignment, either they can turn it in the class, or I can have the option whether to turn it in online. How do you do it? They just click papers or online, say if they are, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to do it. Basically, you make an assignment that they can do online, and
Okay.
if you receive papers from them, you just put the grade into the grade book, like I showed you. You just click on it and put their score in.
Okay. Okay. And last one more question, because it's really redundant for me. I don't see any attendance rooster, so I created separate Excel. Do we not have any shell here on the Canvas of all the names of those students, and then when they came in class, you just click during the attendance time, or is there any
There is a thing, and I've used it, and I don't like it that much. I
like a
think it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah, a spreadsheet is better, in my opinion. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then I'll move on to the speed grader, I believe. Yeah. And you've probably already used it. Yeah. And there's not too much hidden with the speed grader. I just want to show you a couple things. One is that if you find yourself giving feedback of the same phrase over and over, there's a way to kind of save commonly used phrases and just insert them in. Go there. That would be over here. So see this little bubble with the number 10? Those are my 10 things that I've put in that are just, little phrases. And so if I, even without opening that up, if I start typing one, it should, yeah, it does a kind of a pseudo autocomplete. And if it sees I'm starting to type the same thing, then it'll let me select one of them. And
Peter,
yes.
Donna here. Could you tell me how you set that up with all those comments? Because it is time consuming when you create each little, phrase.
Yeah.
So how did you set up the standard
I
So you
added
went
stuff.
there. Okay, I see that.
Yeah. And down
Okay.
at the bottom of that list, there's a little thing here to type into. And we're kind of, you
Electronics
could
library.
have tried
Okay,
harder.
great. Okay.
Mm,
You could have
Add to
tried, all
library.
right. All right.
Yeah, this was an old class. I don't know what happened there. Um, I wouldn't say that to a student, but yeah.
I know that. I know that. But, and okay. So then you looked at their work and then, thank you. Okay.
Yeah. And was there?
Right. All right.
Yeah, I think that's
Because
the only way.
it's very time consuming. Okay, so then after you've typed those prompts in, not prompts, whatever they are, phrases,
Yeah.
then what do you do to automatically put that in the comment section so they know that you at least are responding to them? I
I
see
mean,
the little pen.
if it recognizes a part of a phrase, it'll just kind of see how that popped up automatically.
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
But really, you can just hit this and click on one of them,
Oh,
and it just
that
inserts it.
would have saved me hours.
Yeah, yeah,
Because, I believe in giving them verbal, or written feedback.
yeah. And although it is individual, sometimes you realize you've been typing the same thing all afternoon. So,
Wow, I'm sorry,
so,
while we're there.
so I think that's a good one. Um, the keyboard shortcuts is another one that, I mean, we can potentially spend a lot of time here. So I think it is nice to know. And there's a bunch of links right up in this corner here, but under the gear shift keyboard shortcuts, J goes to the next student, K goes to the previous, C will bring your cursor over to the comment field, G will bring your cursor to the grade field, R will open up the rubric if there is one. That's, if you're into that sort of thing, that can save you a couple seconds on each one that you might be into doing that. So, okay, let's see. And the shortcuts don't always work if you're already typing in a field. Um, that doesn't work, but I'm hitting K to go to the next student. And I could hit G to put in a grade, tab out, and hit K to go to the next student. G to get into the grade field, give her a 10, tab, K to go to the next student. So that's something to know about. And then lastly, you probably already know about if you've allowed multiple submissions, then they're going to show up here in a little drop-down menu. The one on screen will be the most recent one, but if you did want to look back through their other ones, they're available to you here. Yeah, here's one. So you can see different submissions. Okay, and then I will show you some rubrics real quick. We could spend a whole hour just on that. I think this is a Turnitin assignment. So for any assignment and for discussion boards, you have the option to create or use a rubric. And I would encourage you to do it. It is, it's the software version of what you know of as a rubric. So you're going to have a certain number of criteria. It kind of forms a grid. You have a certain number of criteria, and then for columns, you kind of have the excellent, okay, not good enough columns. And then the idea is that you describe to the students what an excellent grammar looks like, what excellent penmanship looks like, what excellent subject verb agreement looks like, or whatever. And so on for mediocre and for not acceptable. So that gives them a very clear, objective of what you're looking for. And then it also gives you a little shortcut at the grading step. And I don't think I have one in this course, but in that speed grader, if you've done a rubric for the assignment, you can open up the rubric, and then for that little grid I described, you can click and you will have assigned point values to good, okay, not okay. So you can, for each of your criteria, you can click on excellent, okay, poor, whatever, and it computes the grade based on how you do that. You can optionally give comments on each of those criteria, or as usual on the assignment altogether. So it's a bit of work up front, and to me it's worth it for those kind of more high value assignments that you want to be real clear about what you're looking for to your students, and give yourself a little bonus when you're doing the grading. So the criteria are the rows, kind of the different aspects of the assignment. So I don't think the name, well, they'll see the name and the description. Essay should have perfect grammar. And then it'll take time to kind of describe what the different levels look like. And then the points, this all depends, on what the actual grade value is for this assignment and kind of how you want to distribute that to each of the criteria. But you'll give points to each level, and the maximum for each criteria will add up to the total of the total points possible for the assignment. And then of all these settings, the defaults are pretty good. You do want to, if you want to use it the way I described, you do want to use this rubric for assignment grading. Otherwise, it's just for them to see and have as a reference. This is kind of how it looks when you're doing the grading. You can say, okay, for grammar, it exceeds and they get 4 out of 4, and it'll total up down here. So there's an essay rubric there. Now in the speed grader, there's this view rubric button. Generally, you'll want to give it some more room. I have a small screen right now, but you can, this comment is just for this one criteria. You still have space to do comments, full comments for the whole assignment. And then if there were more categories here, they would be adding up to the total. Look good? It's some work up front, but I think it's a pretty good tool.
And Mr. Howell, just quickly, I don't know if I missed it, but how do you assign that rubric to a specific assignment?
I started, so on the assignment page, before I even went into edit, down here, there is a button that said create rubric. So since I started here at this assignment page, it's assigned to that assignment.
Got it. So start from the assignment itself and generate the rubric. Don't just, I just went to rubrics now and it's giving me options. Go to
Oh,
the
so you could
assignment
make
first.
one.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a rubrics link. And if you'll remember, next to the create rubric, there is also a find rubric button. So you could have gone here and made it and gone to the assignment page and linked them up.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, so I do have a couple rubrics that I could link to that assignment. And depending on how you construct it, you could use the same rubric for different assignments. So, and we're winding up here. Marking 0 grades is important. I mean, I think it's kind of a cardinal sin to give a student a misleading grade. When they go on their grades tab and they look, you really do want it to be accurate. And for that to be true, they have to have zeros in for their missing work. The staying organized tip is that's probably the number one bit of feedback that we get from students is the course is kind of messy. It's hard to tell when things are due. It's hard to tell what I'm supposed to be working on right now. So clearing out old stuff that doesn't apply right now, having stuff grouped up both in the modules and in the assignments page, having correct due dates on there, those all contribute to a feeling of, the teacher knows what they're doing and I know what I'm doing. All of this is about giving feedback to students, and for them to learn effectively, that really has to happen as soon as possible. But that doesn't mean you have to burn out your fingers typing the same thing over and over. And I would, the shortcuts thing is nice, but I would say if you need to give feedback about the same issue to half the class, make a video about it, or tell them in a discussion. That means there's more to talk about, and you can take it out of that individual discussions and talk to the whole class about it. So don't feel like you have to stay confined to this tool just because the little comment field is there. And that is what I got. Unless you have more questions about gradebook, grading, setting up assignments. There's a lot here. The challenge is to balance, showing them what you need to show them while keeping it somewhat simple and manageable. This one is a Turnitin assignment. That's what you're seeing, that little thing there. So that's an example of not an online submission, but an external tool, which is if you used a textbook publisher or Turnitin, you would find the link here. I didn't really go over the assignments, like assignment setup. Like really, it's the points that are relevant to the gradebook, but there's for assignments and there's a ton of settings that some of them with hidden gotchas. For example, at the bottom of every assignment edit page is this assign to. By default, you're assigning it to everybody and there's a due date. You can set up a window that it's available from here until here. The due date is kind of an abstract concept. If you're not penalizing them for late work, the due date basically has no effect other than what's listed, in various places. It shows up on the calendar, but really it doesn't affect anything.
Or if you don't,
So
or if, excuse me, if you don't want any due date, just leave it blank, the due date
you
section.
can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can go in the other direction and start giving different due dates to different people, or give one person a later one. And you would do this. See how there's a block here assigned to? You can do another block and kind of give it to a different group. So the key here is to leave the existing one with everyone, and then you could single out one person and say, okay, you have a due date, of next month because you gave me a doctor's note or whatever.
Or you can just type, except the everyone, just type the class section. It will be okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Um, and I'm pointing this out because the mistake to make here is to just change this one. And that'll drive you nuts because then you've eliminated it for everyone and just put in a single person, and then everybody else no longer can turn it in, and it causes problems. So you want to keep adding blocks if you want to give specific people specific times. Um, this assignment group correlates to the groups that you set up on the assignments page. So it's another place to change the same thing. And then for assignments, it's not too bad. They're pretty straightforward. I showed you a quiz that has a lot more options. That it's, for a lot of them, you can just leave it on the default. But some people want to get really fine-grained, and this is where you can say a time limit. Are you going to allow multiple attempts? If so, which grade to use? George?
Yeah, sorry, I would have been using the hand earlier if I was more familiar with Zoom. Apologies.
It's fine.
Assignment groupings. I noticed you had discussions, assignments, tests. You define that because right now my discussions show up wherever. I have to define that in my assignments deal. It doesn't automatically put. Okay, very good.
Yeah, that's the thing that's similar to the modules page.
Got it.
But
Yes.
you're defining plus group and you're giving them these names here.
Perfect.
Again, only really affects things if you're doing weighting. Otherwise, it's just for your, how organized you want to be.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I want to wait. Now I know how to do that here. Perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you.
What's the quiz restrictions down on the bottom? The quiz.
Okay. So there's an attempt to kind of lock things down or have the ability to lock things down. This access code is kind of like a password. When would that be useful? I'm not really sure. But all of this is the filter IP addresses. That would be useful if you are in a computer lab and you want to restrict the quiz from being taken anywhere but that place. Then you can, and I could help you with this if you ever wanted to do it. Then you could kind of lock down the quiz to from being taken anywhere but that one location. The access code, it's a password. I'm not sure how that would be useful, to be honest. When do you want to, or do you want to reveal the correct answers to students? That's something that you'll want to control, so you have a bunch of options for. Okay, I'll cut it off there. Maybe we'll go into George's class and look around a little bit. But I want to let you go on time if you want to.